I believe Christians should understand how the storytelling of evolution works. You are being deceived. There is so much you are not being told about evolution. Things they hide with pretty pictures and numbers that sound legitimate. Even those who are not believers do not fully comprehend the depth of the deception. Science is supposed to be a neutral source of unbiased data and information. That is not what is being taught in schools. It is truly an indoctrination because it is not science anymore. Evolution is actually in three independent and contradicting theories: the origin of life, the nebula theory, and the Big Bang theory. Why? Because they need these narratives, because life, our planet, and the universe are so complex and diverse, the only way they can keep the masses indoctrinated is to inundate them with story after story, but never revealing that the three contradict each other. As Christians, what they want you to do is doubt the Bible as God's infallible word. Reject it to accept science. This is a fallacy, as I spoke about in my previous video, Old versus Young Earth. They want you to accept evolution because they push so hard for you to accept one premise and reject a number. This should raise many red flags. The first evolutionary narrative to cover is the Big Bang. From nothing came something. Over the years, they have changed their minds on what that something was, but let's pretend it happened. All the elements are in this tiny speck that exploded. Right there should be a flag. Explosion means heat. One, where did the heat come from? What ignited this explosion? And how come we have volatile elements that can't survive this intense heat still in the universe and on our Earth? Atmophile elements, aka volatile elements, would be destroyed in this intense heat. And some evolutionists admit when the explosion happened, the matter and materials that came out was not these elements. Instead, what we are left with is refractory elements. So where did the other elements on the periodic table come from? Matter cannot make matter. Whatever was in the Big Bang had to be enough matter in all the elements to start a universe and all the testable elements we see today. Richard Dawkins claims that all scientific laws were suspended at the Big Bang, conveniently because the Big Bang violates all laws of science and then afterwards just miraculously started working. Space would have been 3 degrees less than absolute zero, no molecular movement. So how did the universe form? You have to have molecular movement in order to have a collapsing nebula, which we will discuss shortly. Already, the Big Bang is not creating the conditions even required by evolution to start life on our planet. Our planet can't even form if noble gases are gone. With only refractory elements, we can't have the primordial soup needed to somehow have life. If this all sounds ridiculous, keep watching. We still have 2 more theories to discuss. The nebula theory states that a collapsing gas cloud created our sun in the center, and slowly but surely planetesimals came together and formed our planets. By the way, planetesimals are asteroids that somehow stuck together over millions of years and created all our planets. Our sun is in the middle of our solar system, but this is not true for every star or planetary system in our universe. I bet you didn't know that. So the nebula theory cannot account for binary systems, which are 2 stars, aka 2 suns, orbiting each other. They are obviously not center and could not be created by a collapsing gas cloud. Plus, evolution wants you to believe everything rose uniformly, meaning by all the same natural processes, so we shouldn't see any binary systems. In fact, we shouldn't see any star clusters, aka star solar systems, that have no planets if we are to believe the narrative of evolution. Did I forget to mention that there are trinary systems as well? That is 3 stars revolving around themselves. On NASA's site, you can see these star clusters can have quite a few star suns revolving around each other. This isn't possible with uniformity, because then we shouldn't have 2 or more suns in our home solar system. It makes no sense. Uniformity is what they want you to believe, that the universe is not unique, but God said the stars are without number to us humans, but God has named all of them. Evolution wants you to believe that nothing in the universe is unique, including our home planet. believe all of this came by chance, with no cause? Our own solar system is as unique and diverse as the rest of the universe, and yet evolution cannot explain why. I can tell you why. It declares the glory of our marvelous creator, and he created it unique. Mercury completely stumps evolution. It has an iron core, not molten like Earth, yet it has a magnetic field, and it has volatile elements that the nebula theory shows would be in the latter Jovian planets and not the terrestrial planets. Venus has no magnetic field, yet evolution is predicted, based on their evolutionary models, that Venus would be just like Earth in its formation. It has no plates either, just one solid global crust, and it has no moon. Earth, our beautiful planet made uniquely for us to live in. For thus saith the Lord that created the heavens, God himself that formed the earth and made it, he hath established it. He created it not in vain, he formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord, and there is none else. Isaiah 45:18. Evolutionists desperately want to find water and a global flood on Mars, but reject a global flood on our planet that is 70% water. Liquid water is not possible on Mars. But wild speculations lead people to believe falsely about Mars. It isn't even science anymore. Remember when we talked about the Big Bang's explosion destroying noble gases? How can we have this gas giant? Jupiter and the other Jovian planets can't be there because of the planetary migration issue also. They would have crashed into the sun before they were fully formed. Saturn is so cool and defies evolution at every turn. Some of Saturn's rings are braided, and Saturn has dancing moons, Janus and Epimetheus. Every 4 years they swap positions. How cool is that? Yet evolution has no idea how this happened or why it happens. Evolution says Uranus can't be rotating sideways, but it does, and its moons are on that same ecliptic, and the nebula theory cannot produce this. Evolutionists also predicted it would be old, cold, and dead, and yet it is radiating more energy than is possible for their theory, and it has a magnetic field. Neptune is active with the strongest storms in our entire solar system. It also has a magnetic field that is tilted, offset like Uranus, that has completely baffled evolutionary scientists. They can't explain either planet, why it has a magnetic field. And don't forget the planetary migration problem that says none of the Jovian planets can exist at all. We do not know much about Pluto, only that it looks young and its moon Charon too, because of recent volcanic resurfacing. This can't be possible if Pluto is really billions of years old. Evolution can't even get off its feet for the nebula theory, which contradicts the Big Bang. How is life supposed to start again? It seems like such a simple concept, water versus fire creation, but it really is true. Evolution claims we were a burning ball of liquid magma after the collapse of this fairy tale nebula that couldn't exist anyways, and somehow we got water. The nebula theory can't even explain our moon, why it's receding, its geological activity, and where it came from. The three theories for the origin of our moon, which really has nothing to do with the nebula theory, by the way, are first the capture theory, which only 20% of evolutionary scientists hold to, that the Earth's gravity captured a roving celestial. Second is the co-formation theory, that the moon formed at the same time as the Earth, but the moon's density is different than the Earth. So you're left with only one other option, an impact, aka the impact theory. Even now, that is being questioned because it really doesn't make sense for it to occur. One thing that has remained consistent, not evolution, but the Bible's account of creation. In 3,500 years, the creation of the heavens, earth, and moon have remained the same, never-changing narrative. Moses wrote Genesis and God told him what to write, and science is actually confirming what the Bible says. This is just a ridiculous theory to hide the truth. The Big Bang contradicts the nebula theory, and the nebula theory contradicts the Big Bang. Life can't arise from this. What we see is not consistent with billions of years. A random, non-causal explosion, a magma world that somehow got all the fine-tuning of our Earth to produce life, and honestly, why did it produce life to begin with? Evolution will try to confuse you and say, well, millions of years ago, this happened. Beyond detection, no proof, and evidence, just conjecture and storytelling. I mean, they can't even explain why it took like 3 billion years to finally explode into the Cambrian explosion. I find it so amusing when I read in the textbooks, suddenly there was life, but yet it took millions of years? Making a super contradicting statement in one sentence. Pay attention to how they word how evolution works, and you will catch these details. The origin of life theory. We have no volatile elements destroyed in the Big Bang, nebula couldn't happen, and somehow we have biological material? Matter cannot make matter, nor can matter make information, but yet evolution wants you to believe that somehow, out of all this contradicting proof, life came about by a single cell. Must have been lonely not having a mate for that one cell. Evolution claims random mutations, no design or purpose, and that we and everything alive was evolved from rocks? I'm not sure how it's all supposed to work, but I cannot believe it created all this. If evolution is true, the diversity we see just shouldn't be there throughout our universe and solar system because everything should be uniform. They violate their own theory so many times trying to cover up God's creation, because they do not want to admit that an intelligence outside the universe created it. Because then they would have to be accountable to a higher power that is spaceless, timeless, and immaterial.